Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience. I'm here tonight with my first impressions of the Hifiman HE-1000SE, and this was loaned to me for review by Hifiman, and it currently sells at $3,500 US. Just wanted to give an update on the Bell's palsy situation. If you've been watching my videos, you know about 3 months ago, got hit by a bad case of Bell's palsy and lost all control of the muscles in the right side of my face. And slowly but surely I'm recovering, and I would say I'm probably about 65–70% recovered. But anyway, that's enough about that. Also want to mention that I'm sorry that the videos are coming out kind of slow right now, but it's a peak of my lawn care business, a peak of the season, and I'm working 7 days a week right now, so unfortunately I still have to work a full-time job, so getting these videos in when I can. But getting back to my video, this is a planar magnetic design, uses planar magnetic drivers, and it does have stealth magnets. And if you're not familiar with stealth magnets, real short version is if you look at the magnets which run across the diaphragm, if you look at a magnet from the end, it's like shaped like a half circle instead of a square or a rectangle, which gives rounded edges for the sound waves to pass over, which causes less distortion. So Hifiman has been using these for quite a while, and now I think it started out on the Susvara and has worked its way down to even the 400SE, but this headphone I think has been using the stealth magnets for quite a while. The 1000SE has an impedance of 35 ohms and a sensitivity of 96 decibels, so it's actually pretty easy to drive. Doesn't take a whole lot of power to push this headphone. It's probably, I would say, similar to like the Aria Stealth, the third version, which is a lot easier to drive than the previous two models of the Aria. Anyway, Hifiman claims a weight of 440 grams. It actually weighed in on my scale at 455 grams, slightly heavier, but pretty close. Sort of a medium average weight for a full-size headphone. Not real heavy, but not exceptionally light. But this is a quality headphone, and most quality headphones have some weight to them. Anyway, but it's not enough to be uncomfortable at all. In fact, this is a very comfortable headphone. The clamping force is just right, not enough to squeeze or be uncomfortable, but enough to not move around or fall off if you lean forward. And the ear pads, soft, real comfortable, so the weight is not an issue at all, but like I said, it's just kind of average. Anyway, this headphone includes 3 cables. I don't think I've seen a headphone come with 3 cables before. Couple maybe, yeah, maybe, but anyway. First of all, and at the headphone end, all 3 of these are 3.5 millimeter. But this cable here is 3.5 millimeter at the amp end. You've got this one here, which is 6.3 millimeter at the amp end, and these are both single-ended cables. And then it comes with a balance cable with a 4-pin full-size XLR connection at the amp end. And I've actually, most of my listening, I've been using this cable. This is from Marcos Custom Cables, and not that it really sounds any different in my opinion, but it's just a really nice cable. So I've been using this on most of the headphones I've been reviewing. So anyway, I want to give you a closer look at the headphone here, and it is a beautiful looking headphone in my opinion. It's got that same shape as the Aria and the Ananda and even the Edition XS, but it looks a little better because First of all, I guess this is all aluminum. I'm not sure. Well, not the headband, but starting out, it does have the window shade grills, which gives it an extremely open sound, but it does leak a lot of sound. I mean, if this isn't a good headphone to listen to with other people around, because they're going to hear what you're listening to, and also a lot of sound gets in, but it's a very open design. But I believe these grills are made out of aluminum. The yokes appear to be aluminum, the little clamps on the headband, and I think the headband itself is stainless steel. This trim around here, I'm not sure if that's aluminum or plastic, but I think it's aluminum. And then it also has a wood, it's a veneer around here. This isn't a solid wood ear cup like, say, a Kennerton or a ZMF. But it is, I think it's like the Hifiman HE-1000Se, which has a plastic ear cup with a wood veneer around it. I think it is real wood, but it's, like I said, it's not a solid wood ear cup. I believe the ear cup is primarily plastic. The ear pads are a synthetic leather with a cloth inside. Very large, very roomy, plenty of room for your ears. And you can actually adjust these quite a bit up and down. And like the Aria and the Ananda, I find that if I wear them lower where my ear is up in the upper part of this, that they get a wider sound stage, where if you lift them up higher, they get a real tall sound stage, but it narrows down a little bit. So I prefer to wear these down lower, but like the others, that puts the bottom end of this way down on my jaw, which does take a little bit of getting used to. It's a little, I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable, but just like I said, it takes a little bit of getting used to. Anyway, you can see these yoke swivel, and then the headband adjusts up and down, has clicks here, and I'm somewhere in the middle. And I would say I have an average size head. The headband, I'm not sure what the material is here. I was thinking it might be a real leather, but I don't think it is. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of almost like a suede or like a heavy felt or something like that. I think it's synthetic, but it is real nice and it is comfortable. So anyway, and you can see it has the dual 3.5 millimeter connections for the headphones. But yeah, it's a beautiful headphone. I really like the way this looks. You know, the Aria looks pretty much the same, but everything's black, and I do like this all aluminum and the wood look. So anyway, before I get into the sound, and like I said at the beginning, this is just my first impressions of this headphone. I have had this for about 2 weeks now and have listened to it quite a bit, but like I said, because of my work schedule, I just haven't had time to do my first impressions, which I usually try to get out in a week's time. So I'm sorry about the delay. As far as the equipment I've used so far, most of my listening to this so far up to this point has been CDs, digital signal from Cambridge Audio CD transport into the R8 MK2 by Audio GD. So most of my listening so far has been done with an Audio GD stack, which consists of the Master 9 headphone amp and the R8 MK2 R2R DAC, and really love that combination, and this headphone just sounds beautiful with those. I've also listened to this a little bit with the Hifiman EF400, which is a bargain of an amp in my opinion. At I think it's selling for like $529 right now, something like that. It was $599. But anyways, combination amp and R2R DAC, and this does sound really good with that combination. So you don't have to spend a fortune on an amp DAC to, you know, appreciate this headphone. It sounds great even with that. And then I have tried this with the Waveborn Power Amp Plus, which is a transformer coupled tube amp. and puts out 3 watts per channel and works really well with planar magnetic headphones. And this headphone also sounds beautiful with that. And I was running that with the same Audio GD R8 MK2 DAC. As far as comparisons, so far I haven't really done any comparing this to other headphones. I did do a very brief comparison to the Kennerton Thror, which is the flagship of the Kennerton line and sells for a similar price. And sometimes I listen to something new and my brain kind of adjusts, and I think it sounds really good until I compare it to something. So I do try to at least do one brief comparison to something I'm very familiar with before I do my first impressions video. So I did do a very brief comparison of this to the Kennerton Thror, and which has been pretty much my reference headphone for about 3 years now. It's a headphone I compare all others to and has been probably my favorite headphone to listen to. And to be honest, there's actually more similarities than differences between this and the Kennerton Thror. I'm going to save the actual comparison for my full review of this headphone, but this definitely holds its own with the Kennerton Thror and is a contender for my favorite headphone that I've heard so far. So getting into the sound of this, the tone balance, I would say, and I did want to mention that the Kennerton Thror does have ECL01 memory foam earpads, not the earpads that came with it, but the newer memory foam, which I believe improves the sound quite a bit on the Thror. It gives it more bass, more low-end extension, and a warmer mid-range without harming the upper mid-range or treble. So did want to point that out, that the Thror will have that memory foam earpads on it for my comparison. So anyway, and then other headphones that, I guess I was getting into the sound, but I wanted to mention some other headphones that I will be comparing this to in my full review are the Hifiman Aria Stealth, which is less than half the price, but a fantastic headphone, and was my most bang for the buck headphone, over $1,000 in my year-end review. So a lot of people want to know, is this, really better than the Aria? And if so, how much better? Anyway, and at the same time as I got this in, I also got the newer Hifiman HE-1000 Stealth, which my understanding is a stealth version of the HE-1000 version 2. Some people are calling it the HE-1000 version 3. And to be honest, I've done very little listening to that headphone so far. I just haven't had the time. I've just been so happy with this headphone. It's been my primary headphone for the last 2 weeks. And so anyway, I will be comparing this to the HE-1000 Stealth and the ZMF Atrium that I still have here with me. And I will be comparing it to the Kennerton Ragnar, which is a closed-back. That would be Kennerton's flagship closed-back headphone. And it is a closed-back, where this is an open-back, but they are in a very similar price range. So I do want to compare them, because that's also one of my favorite headphones. So anyway, getting into the sound of this, I would describe the sound as basically neutral with a slight emphasis to the bass. Pretty much flat all the way through the mid-range treble. The extension, I would say, is excellent on both ends. This goes well into the sub-bass, and it goes well into the treble. It's not a bass monster. It's not a bass head headphone. Like I said, just a slight emphasis in the bass, but it does extend well. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Anyway, as far as detail and resolution, This thing is absolutely outstanding. This could be possibly the most detailed headphone I've heard. It's up there with the very best. Maybe, like I said, this could be the most detailed headphone I've heard up to this point. Soundstage, very large, has very good width, very good height, but it also has a very good depth. And that, to be honest, this is the first Hifiman headphone that I've heard that I would say has good depth. Even the Aria, the original Aria, I reviewed the version 1, had an outstanding width and height to the soundstage, but I thought it lacked depth. Well, this, I don't have that to compare directly, but this seems to have that kind of width and height, but with more depth. Finally, a Hifiman headphone with depth, some serious depth to the soundstage. The Aria Stealth, which I do have here and I will be comparing, I've been saying ever since I first reviewed that it is virtually, in my opinion, almost a perfect headphone, but it lost some of that extreme soundstage width of the original Aria. And I said if Hifiman could combine the sound of the Aria Stealth with that soundstage of the original Aria, the version 1, that would be a very hard headphone to beat. And I think this accomplishes that. I think it has that Aria version 1 soundstage with the Aria version 2 sound. So anyway, imaging, extremely pinpoint, excellent imaging, and separation. The separation between different instruments and the vocals is absolutely outstanding. It, once again, may be the best I've ever heard. Not only does every instrument have a distinct location, but I can actually hear them at different distances. A lot of layering going on, and just like I said, I mean, every instrument not only has its own location, but they're at different distances away from my head when I'm listening to them, and it's just so cool. Just everything, I just feel like I'm just surrounded by music, and you know, just I can hear where everything's coming from. Is good or better than any headphone I've heard up to this point. The bass, I kind of skipped over the bass, mid-range, and treble. I usually talk about that before the soundstage and all that. But anyway, the bass. Not a bass head headphone, but very solid bass, has some pretty good weight to it, has good extension, has pretty good slam. Not an extremely dynamic headphone, but not a headphone I would describe as soft either. Kind of in the middle, but very solid, very tight, very well-controlled bass with a lot of texture and detail to it. You know, you can definitely distinguish the different bass notes and different sounds. You know, some headphones, especially lower price headphones, all the bass can tend to sound the same, where this, you know, every recording, the bass sounds different, has its own distinct sound. The mids, it has nice warmth and a richness to the mids that I really, really like. Like I said, it compares in a lot of ways to the Kennerton Thrower, and that's the one thing that has really set out the Kennerton Thrower, why I like it so much. It just has really nice, rich mids, but yet extremely detailed, and female vocals just sound beautiful on it. And they sound very similar with this, but there is a difference. I will give you look at my full review, and I can tell you right now that's one of the major differences between this and the Kennerton Thrower. The Kennerton Thrower vocals are a little more upfront, a little more in your face, where these are set a little bit further away and a little less, they're not as prominent. The vocals just on the Kennerton Thrower, the vocals kind of override the music a little more, where this one, they're a little set back, where you hear the music a little bit more over the vocals. But anyway, but like I said, that was a real brief comparison I did, and I'll get a lot more in depth with that. Spend a lot more time comparing the two before I do my full review of this. So anyway, the treble. The treble on this is absolutely beautiful. This possibly has the most detailed treble I have heard up to this point, but it never sounds harsh. It's just so clean, and I mean, just exceptional sparkle and detail in the treble. And I'm noticing detail in the treble that I don't know if I've heard before on any headphones. So another place where this, you know, is definitely up there at or above the top of what I've heard up to this point. So that's about it for now. Like I said, this is just the first impressions. Over the next, it's going to take me a while this time of year, probably a month or so. I'll do my full review of this. Like I said, I'll be comparing this to the Aria Stealth, the HE-1000 Stealth, the ZMF Atrium, the Kennerton Thrower, and Ragnar. And I've got a few more amps and DACs I want to try this with. I still have the Burson Conductor 3 reference, which is, I've heard, an excellent match with the higher end Hifiman headphones. And I've still got the Topping D70S MQA, which is a DAC I really, really like, and some other combinations. I've got several amps and DACs, and I'll just try this with whatever I have here to see how it works out. But it doesn't seem like this, you know, really needs an expensive amp or DAC to sound good, although it does scale, you know. I mean, the better your equipment, the better this is going to sound. But, you know, but it doesn't fall on its face if you don't plug it into, you know, a $5,000 amp DAC combo. So anyway, I'll get back to you in, like I said, probably a month or so with more comparisons and trying this with more amps and DACs, let you know what works, what doesn't, if anything doesn't. And I haven't tried this with an OTL amp yet. I've got the Felix Audio Elise here, and an exceptional amp, but an OTL. And to be honest, it doesn't work real well with planar magnetic headphones unless they're real easy to drive. But I will try it and see how that works out, just to let you know. But I mean, it's an exceptional amp with dynamic drivers, especially the ZMF. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I'll get back to you in probably about a month with a full review. And I've also got a first impressions video of that HE-1000 Stealth coming out, and a few others, and hope to see you soon. And just wanted to let you know I appreciate you watching my video, and those of you that have stuck with me the last 3 months with the Bell's palsy. I know for a while I was kind of slurring my words and my face was crooked and all that. I didn't look real pretty, but a lot of you have, most of you in fact, have stuck with me, and I appreciate that. And I also wanted to let you know the headphone experience on Facebook is up to, I think, 22.8 thousand members, continues to grow. You're all welcome over there. And if this video helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. And once again, thanks for watching my video.